Aaron Kaufman is a name that has become synonymous with skill, patience, and passion for car building. Anyone familiar with the world of automotive reality television knows him as a calm, precise, and highly talented mechanic who made Gas Monkey Garage and the show Fast and Loud unforgettable. Yet, for years, fans wondered why Aaron suddenly left the very platform that helped launch him into the spotlight. Was it a fight, a personal issue, or something far deeper, something that viewers could not see on camera? For nearly a decade, the truth was shrouded in mystery. Aaron, who had built a career quietly and deliberately, chose to stay silent while rumors swirled. Some fans speculated wildly, imagining dramatic conflicts behind the scenes. Others simply assumed he had moved on to something new without looking back. But as it turns out, the reality was far more nuanced, far heavier, and far more about self-preservation than anyone could have guessed. Aaron's departure was not marked by a single argument or an explosive moment on camera. Instead, it was a culmination of years of mounting pressures, compromises, and subtle shifts in the environment he had once loved. Every show he filmed, every car he worked on, and every moment behind the cameras became part of a story that most people never understood. While the public saw only the finished builds, polished episodes, and occasional banter, Aaron felt something different. He felt a slow erosion of the craft he loved. He felt a gap between the man he was inside the garage and the man the television environment demanded him to be. That gap grew year after year, quietly widening until it could no longer be ignored. And so, in late 2016, Aaron made a decision that would shock fans and colleagues alike. He walked away. The choice was not easy, nor was it sudden. It was a result of careful reflection, a recognition of what truly mattered to him, and a need to protect the part of himself that still loved the work. For Aaron, leaving Gas Monkey Garage was not about abandoning success. It was about preserving authenticity, creativity, and the joy of building cars on his own terms. His story reminds us that sometimes the hardest choices are not about fame or fortune, but about maintaining the integrity of one's craft and self. Over the years, Aaron's departure has been a topic of fascination, debate, and speculation. Fans would often search for interviews, scroll through old episodes, or analyze social media for clues. And yet, Aaron's voice remained quiet. This quiet was deliberate. It was not silence born of fear or regret. Instead, it was a period of preparation, of understanding, and of allowing time to gain clarity about what had changed, what he wanted next, and what he could not compromise. During this time, he returned to work away from cameras, focusing on what had always mattered most, the machines themselves. In doing so, he found a way to breathe again, to reconnect with his love for craftsmanship, and to rebuild his identity outside the glare of television. The true story of why Aaron left Gas Monkey Garage is not just a tale about reality TV or car shows. It is a story about the conflict between art and entertainment, craft and spectacle, and the delicate balance required when personal passion collides with public expectation. And for anyone who has ever felt pressure to compromise their values for success, Aaron's journey resonates deeply, offering lessons about patience, self-awareness, and the courage it takes to walk away from everything you built. Before Aaron Kaufman became a household name, he worked in a small, quiet shop in Dallas, Texas. The kind of place where talent often goes unnoticed unless someone exceptional steps in to recognize it. That person was Richard Rawlings, the energetic, charismatic, and larger-than-life owner of Gas Monkey Garage. Richard noticed Aaron's ability to work with precision, focus, and a level of care that seemed almost instinctive. Aaron had a way of understanding the machines he touched, as if the problems revealed themselves to him before they appeared. There was a rhythm to his work, a quiet mastery that contrasted sharply with the loud, bold personality of Richard, who thrived on energy, chaos, and attention. When Richard invited Aaron to join Gas Monkey Garage, neither of them fully understood the dynamic they were about to create. Together, they formed a partnership that was magnetic on screen. Viewers were drawn to juxtaposition, Richard's showmanship and Aaron's calm, steady competence. When Fast and Loud first aired in 2012, the world was not prepared for Aaron. He did not chase the cameras. He did not exaggerate his personality. He let his hands and his work speak for him. Yet, that quiet approach captivated audiences. Fans were mesmerized by the way Aaron could take worn-out, rusted, or abandoned vehicles and transform them into powerful, clean machines that reflected his skill and dedication. A rusted Volkswagen bus, an exhausted Mustang, or a tired Scout truck under his care would emerge as a work of art, rebuilt with precision and care. This juxtaposition of chaos and calm, spectacle and craft, made the early seasons of Fast and Loud compelling. Aaron became the grounding force in a world of loud personalities, tight deadlines, and entertainment-focused production. However, the very traits that made Aaron essential to the show would later contribute to the tensions that led him to leave. He valued slow, thoughtful work. He respected process over speed, and he measured success in millimeters, not ratings. As the show grew in popularity, the environment began to shift. The once vibrant, raw workshop slowly transformed into a controlled production zone, dictated by schedules, camera angles, and the demands of television networks. What had started as a sanctuary for creative work began to feel more like a high-pressure stage where every movement was scrutinized. The slow and careful craftsmanship that Aaron valued came into conflict with the accelerated pace required for weekly episodes. What fans saw as excitement, energy, and entertainment was, for Aaron, a daily reminder that the environment no longer allowed him to work the way he believed work should be done. Projects that once took months were now compressed into tight timelines, stripping away the personal touch that had made his builds remarkable. Despite this, Aaron continued to deliver, quietly shouldering the pressure while maintaining a calm exterior. He protected the integrity of the builds, often staying late after filming to make sure every detail was right, even if the cameras never caught it. His silent dedication became both a hallmark of his character and a source of mounting tension, as the growing demands of the show slowly began to conflict with his philosophy of craftsmanship. This period of change was subtle on screen, but profound behind the scenes. The energy that once fueled creativity now created stress. The partnership with Richard remained strong in public, but the pace of television, the need for spectacle, and the ever-increasing expectations began to wear on Aaron. Fans could see only the polished end results and the friendly banter. They could not see the internal conflict that was slowly building, the quiet pressure that would eventually make staying untenable. Over time, this tension became the defining force leading to Aaron's decision to step away. His departure would not be marked by a dramatic argument or confrontation. It would instead be the outcome of years of careful thought, growing incompatibility with the environment, and a deep need to preserve the part of himself that loved to create for the sake of creation, not ratings. In leaving, Aaron demonstrated that true craftsmanship and personal integrity sometimes require walking away from even the greatest success to protect the heart of the work as Fast and Loud continued to gain popularity. Gas Monkey Garage itself transformed from a vibrant, hands-on workshop into a high-pressure, entertainment-driven production. The small shop where Aaron had first learned to craft cars quietly was now under constant scrutiny. Cameras followed every movement. Network deadlines dictated every project, and the pressure to produce weekly episodes created tension that no one could ignore. For Aaron Kaufman, the shift was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but over time became impossible to overlook. The environment he had loved, where creativity and patience ruled, gradually morphed into a space dominated by speed, spectacle, and performance. Every wrench turn, every measurement, and every adjustment became part of a schedule designed not for quality, but for television pacing. The transformation of the garage reflected the broader challenges of reality TV production, where every moment must be packaged to entertain. While fans saw only the polished builds and dramatic reveals, Aaron felt the strain daily. The projects that once allowed him to explore engineering deeply and thoughtfully were now compressed into short timelines that prioritized visuals over craft. He was expected to deliver perfection, but under conditions that left no room for careful problem-solving. This clash between two worlds, his values as a craftsman and the demands of television, created a pressure that slowly built, like tension hidden beneath the surface of a calm lake. Unlike many conflicts on reality shows, there were no heated arguments or dramatic confrontations captured by the cameras. Instead, the struggle was internal, personal, and almost invisible to those around him. Aaron continued to perform, maintain a composure, and protect the quality of his work, but each day added weight. The very qualities that had made him a fan favorite, his focus, his patience, his meticulous attention to detail, were now in conflict with an environment that rewarded speed, spectacle, and entertainment over craft. The gap between his own standards and the demands of the show widened. Richard Rawlings, the charismatic face of Gas Monkey Garage, thrived in the new environment. He welcomed opportunities to expand the brand, bring in new projects, and create dramatic moments for the cameras. His energy and enthusiasm drove the expansion of the show, and in many ways, it was his vision that brought nationwide fame to Gas Monkey Garage. Aaron, on the other hand, wanted different challenges, projects that allowed him to push the boundaries of engineering, creativity, and personal skill. He wanted builds that demanded time, careful planning, and technical precision, not just something visually impressive on a compressed schedule. This divergence in priorities was not a personal conflict, but a fundamental difference in values. Both men were committed to excellence, but excellence meant different things to each of them. Aaron's definition was rooted in patience, craft, and respect for the process. Richard's definition emphasized spectacle, speed, and the energy of entertainment. As seasons passed, this difference became impossible to ignore. The partnership that had once created balance on screen now felt strained behind the scenes. New team members joined the garage, some aligning with Aaron's philosophy, others with a fast-paced approach to the show. The division grew quietly, but inevitably, it created a sense that the workshop was no longer the same space where Aaron had thrived. While he remained professional, focused, and deeply committed to the work, the tension was palpable. Even the builds themselves began to reflect the shift, carrying the energy of two competing priorities rather than a unified vision. This pressure was compounded by Aaron's internal struggle to reconcile his love for craft with the demands of television fame. Fans saw him on screen and assumed everything was normal, but each day represented a choice between conforming to the pace of the show or preserving the integrity of his work. Over time, the weight of that choice became heavier, and the quiet dissonance between his ideals and the environment became a defining force in his life. By 2015 and 2016, Aaron knew that continuing under the current conditions would eventually force him to compromise the part of himself that loved building cars. Staying might preserve his public success, but would slowly erode the satisfaction, joy, and authenticity that had first drawn him to the craft. In this period, the decision to leave began to take shape, not as a reaction to a single incident, but as the inevitable outcome of years of misalignment between personal values and professional demands. It was a decision born of reflection, clarity, and a need to protect the essence of who Aaron was, both as a craftsman and as a human being that by the end of 2016. The internal pressure that Aaron had quietly endured for years reached a point where he could no longer ignore it. Every day in the shop had become a balancing act between what he wanted to achieve as a builder and what the environment demanded for television. While fans continued to see the impressive car builds, the humor, and the camaraderie between Aaron and Richard, what they could not see was the silent strain accumulating behind every episode. The decision to leave Gas Monkey Garage was not impulsive. It was a result of years of careful thought, reflection, and recognition that the current environment no longer allowed him to thrive creatively. Aaron understood that staying might bring continued fame, public recognition, and financial success, but at the cost of his passion, his standards, and his personal integrity. Walking away was, in many ways, a radical act of self-preservation. It was a choice to protect the part of him that loved working with cars, designing intricate systems, and creating mechanical solutions that reflected his skill and dedication. The departure was also complicated because it involved more than just leaving a show. It meant stepping away from the public recognition, the partnerships, and the career momentum he had built over years of dedication. For someone like Aaron, whose work had always spoken louder than his words, leaving a platform that amplified his talent was a difficult but necessary sacrifice. There were no explosive confrontations or dramatic incidents that could be pointed to as the reason for his exit. Instead, it was a slow, steady realization that the environment around him had become incompatible with the way he needed to work. Television schedules compressed creative processes into short time frames. Network expectations emphasized spectacle over craftsmanship, and the constant presence of cameras created pressure to perform rather than to create. Aaron weighed all of this carefully and ultimately decided that staying would mean compromising the core of who he was. Walking away offered him a chance to reclaim his identity as a craftsman, to focus on projects that mattered to him, and to work in an environment that allowed him to breathe and think. The moment of leaving was marked not by drama, but by calm determination. Aaron stepped out of Gas Monkey Garage with a sense of quiet purpose. He was leaving a world that had shaped him, but he was not abandoning his passion or his vision. Instead, he was creating space to rebuild, to rediscover the joy of creation, and to establish a career that aligned with his personal values. This decision would soon lead to the creation of ArcLight Fabrication, a workshop designed to allow Aaron to explore custom builds on his own terms. At ArcLight, he could focus on complex engineering challenges without the constraints of television schedules. He could take his time, innovate, and produce work that reflected the depth of his skill. For Aaron, leaving Gas Monkey Garage was not about rejecting success. It was about reclaiming control, authenticity, and the creative freedom that had slowly been eroded. It was a choice that required courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to step away from the spotlight to protect the very essence of what made him exceptional. This period of transition also gave Aaron time to reflect on the broader lessons of his career, the dynamics of the industry, and the importance of maintaining balance between public attention and personal fulfillment. It highlighted the tension that exists in many creative industries, where the demands of fame and rapid production can often overshadow the work itself. By walking away, Aaron set an example of prioritizing values over visibility, craft over spectacle, and authenticity over popularity. His decision resonates with anyone who has faced a difficult choice between following external expectations and staying true to themselves. In doing so, Aaron ensured that his legacy would not just be measured by television appearances, but by the integrity, skill, and passion he brought to every project he touched. After leaving Gas Monkey Garage, Aaron Kaufman faced a unique challenge: how to continue pursuing his passion for automotive craftsmanship while stepping away from the high-pressure world of reality television. For years, he had been confined by tight schedules, constant cameras, and the need to deliver both entertainment and results. His work had been admired by millions, but the environment had stripped away the slow, thoughtful process he loved. This realization led him to create ArcLight Fabrication in 2017, a space that would allow him to reconnect with his craft on his own terms. ArcLight was not designed for fame or spectacle. Unlike Gas Monkey, it was not a stage for television drama or a platform to chase ratings. It was a workshop built for the work itself. Here, Aaron could focus on designing and building custom parts for Ford F-100 trucks, an area he had long admired but never had the freedom to explore under constraint of fast and loud. The shop reflected his values: careful planning, attention to detail, and respect for every stage of the process. For the first time in years, he could take his time without compromise. The space of ArcLight Fabrication became a sanctuary, where the sound of welders, grinders, and tools replaced the constant instructions of producers and camera crews. Aaron rediscovered the rhythm of true craftsmanship, where every measurement, adjustment, and weld mattered, not because it looked good on television, but because it was the right thing to do. Projects that once had to be rushed could now be approached with patience and precision. This allowed him to innovate and experiment, building machines that were both technically impressive and deeply satisfying to create. By returning to a slower, more deliberate way of working, Aaron was able to reclaim the part of himself that had been suppressed under the pressures of reality TV. ArcLight Fabrication was more than just a new shop. It was a declaration of independence. It signaled that Aaron would no longer compromise his principles for entertainment or deadlines. His work would be judged by its quality, not its speed. He could now challenge himself with complex builds that demanded careful engineering and thoughtful execution, something he had longed to do while at Gas Monkey Garage, but could never fully pursue. This period of rebuilding also allowed him to reflect on the lessons learned during his time on television. He saw how fame and external pressure could warp even the most talented craftsmen's relationship with their work. By stepping away, Aaron avoided the gradual erosion of skill, patience, and creative joy that can happen when artistry is forced to conform to spectacle. At ArcLight, he rebuilt not just cars, but also himself. He rediscovered the joy of creation, the satisfaction of problem-solving, and the pride that comes from producing work that aligns with personal values. His time at ArcLight became a testament to the importance of environment in fostering true craftsmanship. Without the constant scrutiny of cameras, the rushed deadlines, and the pressures of entertainment, Aaron could once again immerse himself fully in the art of building. Fans and industry insiders alike noticed the difference. While his public appearances were less frequent, the work emerging from ArcLight carried a new level of precision and innovation. It was clear that Aaron had not lost his skills. He had refined them in a space that respected his process. The story of ArcLight fabrication shows that sometimes stepping away from fame and public attention is not retreating, but advancing in a way that preserves authenticity. Aaron's journey highlights the delicate balance between success, personal satisfaction, and creative integrity, and it demonstrates that sometimes the most important legacy is not the audience you entertain, but the standards you uphold and the work you choose to protect. In creating ArcLight, Aaron did more than just build cars. He built a life and a career that reflected his values, his passion, and his dedication to craftsmanship in its purest form. Even after stepping away from Gas Monkey Garage, Aaron Kaufman did not abandon his public presence entirely. He recognized that television could still be a platform for meaningful work, but only if it aligned with his values and gave him control over his process. This understanding led to selective appearances on shows like Shifting Gears in 2018, where he could participate without sacrificing the principles he had fought to protect. Unlike his time on Fast and Loud, Aaron's return was deliberate, controlled, and rooted in authenticity. He no longer needed to meet the demands of tight production schedules or network pressures. Instead, he focused on projects that allowed him to showcase his skill, creativity, and problem-solving abilities in a way that felt true to his vision. This shift in approach transformed how audiences perceived him. Rather than being the background stabilizer in someone else's show, Aaron emerged as a creator in his own right, demonstrating both technical mastery and personal integrity. The projects he undertook during this period were carefully selected to challenge his abilities and highlight innovation rather than speed. Whether designing unique car parts, building custom trucks, or engineering complex solutions, Aaron's work was now a reflection of what mattered most to him: craftsmanship, patience, and attention to detail. Fans responded enthusiastically, recognizing the difference in both process and result. It was clear that Aaron's departure from Gas Monkey Garage had not diminished his abilities. It had allowed him to work without compromise and reclaim the joy that had been slowly eroded under the pressures of reality television. His presence on shows like Shifting Gears reinforced a lesson that leaving a high-profile platform does not mean abandoning influence. By choosing projects carefully, Aaron maintained visibility while remaining true to himself, a delicate balance that few in the industry managed successfully. This period also highlighted the contrast between working under external pressure and creating for personal satisfaction. While his earlier career had demanded conformity to the fast-paced demands of television, Aaron now enjoyed freedom to experiment, innovate, and perfect his craft at his own rhythm. The quality of his builds reflected this freedom, demonstrating that when creative work is unpressured, it can reach new heights of excellence. Additionally, his selective public appearances helped reshape the narrative around his career. Instead of being seen as someone who walked away from success, he became an example of prioritizing personal and professional integrity over fame or convenience. Through thoughtful, deliberate participation in new television projects, Aaron communicated an important message. Creativity and talent flourish best in environments that respect the process, the craft, and the values of the creator. These appearances also allowed him to reconnect with fans on his terms, sharing his knowledge, perspective, and passion without being drawn back into fast-paced grind that had previously caused tension. In doing so, Aaron not only rebuilt his reputation as a master craftsman, but also demonstrated a sustainable model for balancing public recognition with personal satisfaction. His journey serves as a reminder that leaving a familiar, high-profile environment does not mark the end of influence or career growth. Instead, it can be a strategic step toward reclaiming control, protecting the integrity of one's work, and creating a sustainable path for long-term creative success. Aaron Kaufman's story, particularly his controlled return to television, underscores the value of thoughtful decision-making, patience, and a focus on authenticity in a world that often prioritizes speed and spectacle over substance. It is a testament to the fact that maintaining integrity and personal standards can ultimately lead to a richer, more fulfilling career. Aaron Kaufman's decision to leave Gas Monkey Garage was not just a personal choice. It had a ripple effect across the automotive and entertainment industries. While fans speculated about his absence, few understood the deeper message embedded in his actions. that craftsmanship, passion, and personal integrity could not thrive under constant pressure or in environments that prioritize spectacle over skill. Aaron's departure highlighted a critical truth. Talent alone is not enough. The context in which a craftsman works plays a vital role in what they can achieve. By stepping away, Aaron set an example for other creators, engineers, and automotive enthusiasts. Sometimes, maintaining quality and passion requires walking away from what looks like success. His creation of ArcLight fabrication became more than just a workshop. It became a symbol of the importance of purpose-driven work. Unlike fast-paced reality TV shows that measure value in audience engagement and ratings, ArcLight measured value in precision, innovation, and the satisfaction of doing things the right way. Each custom part, every welded joint, and every restored vehicle reflected his philosophy that true craftsmanship cannot be rushed. The influence of Aaron's choices extended beyond his own projects. Aspiring mechanics and builders began to see that the path to mastery was not necessarily tied to fame, money, or public recognition. Instead, they saw that mastery often required patience, focus, and the courage to reject external pressures that compromise quality. The automotive community began to recognize Aaron not just for his work on television, but for his dedication to excellence and his commitment to maintaining the integrity of his craft. Industry professionals, fellow builders, and fans alike began to appreciate the subtle but powerful message his career trajectory communicated. Authenticity and self-respect are as important as skill and talent. Furthermore, Aaron's influence reshaped expectations for reality TV shows within the automotive world. His departure forced producers, hosts, and networks to reconsider the balance between entertainment value and creative freedom. While networks prioritized drama, schedules, and audience engagement, Aaron demonstrated that audiences can also value authenticity, skill, and meaningful work when presented thoughtfully. This has encouraged other builders and craftsmen to seek projects that honor their process and expertise rather than simply chasing the spotlight. Aaron's approach has created a legacy of balance, showing that it is possible to be publicly visible while maintaining personal standards and prioritizing what matters most in one's craft. His story also emphasized the importance of long-term vision over short-term gains. Instead of chasing immediate fame or ratings, he focused on creating a sustainable career that allowed him to continue learning, growing, and producing work that mattered to him. This forward-thinking perspective has inspired both viewers and peers, demonstrating that career success is not measured solely by public attention, but by the alignment of work with personal values and principles. In essence, Aaron Kaufman's legacy extends beyond the cars he built or the shows he appeared on. It lies in the example he set for creators across industries: the courage to prioritize craft over convenience, patience over speed, and integrity over spectacle. His influence reminds the world that the true measure of success is not applause or ratings, but the satisfaction of knowing that the work you create is genuine, meaningful, and true to who you are. By making this choice, Aaron carved out a space for himself that reflects both skill and heart, inspiring a generation of builders, engineers, and viewers to value authenticity above all else. Aaron Kaufman's journey offers lessons that go far beyond the automotive world. At its core, his story is about understanding personal limits, valuing one's own process, and making difficult choices to protect what truly matters. His decision to leave a successful television show demonstrates that courage does not always appear in grand gestures. Sometimes, it manifests as a quiet but deliberate act of choosing self-preservation and integrity over public approval. One key lesson from Aaron's journey is the importance of recognizing when an environment no longer supports growth or creativity. For years, he worked under immense pressure at Gas Monkey Garage, performing at a level that amazed fans while silently bearing the tension between his values and the demands placed upon him. By the time he decided to leave, he understood that continuing in that space would compromise both his craft and his sense of self. This awareness reflects an important truth for anyone pursuing excellence. Success is not just about achieving milestones or accumulating recognition, but about maintaining conditions where skill, passion, and creativity can flourish. Another lesson lies in the power of patience and preparation. Aaron did not make a hasty decision to leave. He spent years reflecting, understanding the root of his dissatisfaction, and planning a path forward that aligned with his goals. By doing so, he avoided rash decisions driven by frustration, and instead acted from clarity and purpose. This approach emphasizes that meaningful change often requires thoughtful consideration, resilience, and the courage to wait until the timing is right. The journey also teaches the value of creating spaces that honor one's work. Arclight fabrication was not a mere replacement for Gas Monkey Garage. It was a carefully designed environment that allowed Aaron to rebuild his relationship with his craft. By shaping a workspace that reflected his values, he demonstrated that the environment can either nurture or hinder growth. For creators in any field, the lesson is clear. Controlling your workspace, your processes, and the conditions in which you operate is essential for achieving excellence. Aaron's story also highlights the importance of authenticity. His return to television through selective projects like Shifting Gears shows that one can engage with the public without compromising principles. By choosing appearances that respected his craft, he maintained his reputation while working on terms that were meaningful to him. This approach serves as a model for balancing professional visibility with personal integrity. Finally, Aaron Kaufman's journey teaches that leaving a familiar path does not equate to failure. It can instead be an act of empowerment. Walking away from Gas Monkey Garage was not the end of his career. It was the beginning of a phase where he could define success by his own standards. His life demonstrates that real strength lies in making choices that preserve who you are, even if those choices go against expectations. For fans, aspiring builders, and professionals alike, his story is a powerful reminder that true craftsmanship, creativity, and personal fulfillment thrive only in environments that respect patience, skill, and values. Aaron Kaufman's legacy, therefore, is not only measured in the machines he built or the shows he appeared on, but also in the courage, clarity, and principles he upheld throughout his journey. It is a lesson in prioritizing authenticity, protecting one's craft, and pursuing work that truly resonates with who you are, even when the path forward requires stepping away from what others might see as success.